Hey, Vish, do you still think that after recent events, John Lynch's Twitter was hacked?
Oh, so I went on a podcast with these guys, and I thought it was solely John Lynch's Twitter was hacked. I still don't know. I mean, it was kind of a weird tweet for a GM to be sending out like that. It was kind of informal for a John Lynch, a guy who seems to have professionalism and be very formal and clean cut and expresses himself in the most like highest of manners in every walk of life every walk of aspect of his life that he participates in. But maybe he wasn't hacked. I still don't know, because guys are getting hacked. River Craycraft is hacked. Nick Mullins is hacked.
Could be. Joe Staley took down his tweets. John Lynch didn't take down his. Maybe that's, I don't know what to make of that. Sal Jeezy says, got to get rid of McFloppy before May 3rd. That $10 million option don't look too good. Think they will?
No.
I would rule it out.
My thing with McGlinchey is that I still think, look, I'm not as low as him as you, but I'm not telling you that he was worth the 9th overall pick as a right tackle, because anybody who takes a tackle at the top 10 is always looking for Orlando Pace, Jonathan Ogden, Jedrick Wills from last year who was picked 10th, Tristan Wirfs. You're looking for that kind of a play. The reality is that oftentimes you don't get it. And so my thing with McGlinchey is that I would actually push, and I don't know if they can do this, but the best case scenario to me is not take his option and try and extend him now. A 2 or 3 year extension and bet on him now, because that extension can be for damn cheap. And I still think the 49ers believe heavily in their potential, his potential, regardless of what Grant Cohn says, because they seem to keep saying they believe in Mike McGlinchey, you know.
I didn't say they didn't believe in Mike McGlinchey, but here's the thing. Here's what I feel like let's say with Rich Madrid. Rich Madrid is the champion of Mike McGlinchey. And he doesn't look at it that way, but he just says, look, he's a good run blocker and a serviceable pass protector. Nah, 315-pound Mike McGlinchey was barely serviceable as a pass protector. 290-pound Mike McGlinchey is subpar in pass protection. Still a good move blocker because it just makes him even lighter on his feet. He can't drive anyone off the line of scrimmage.
I'm not going to disagree really with that. I wouldn't call him serviceable. I would call him average as a pass blocker, average to below average.
At 315,
and I would call him a very, very good run blocker. My thing is that if you can,
particularly for this scheme, because he's much better running than driving. So keep going.
Look, so the Niners have really two options here. They take his 5th-year option, okay? Mm-hmm. Or they don't take his 5th-year option. If they don't take his 5th-year option and he has a very good season, which if they don't take his 5th-year option, it's a contract year, and we've seen guys play great in their contract year, then they're going to be stuck paying him what his 5th-year option was over multiple years. They don't take his 5th-year option and extend him, then, especially because his stock has to be at an all-time low. Just because when you have a highlight reel, regardless, offensive line play is really tough to evaluate, but sometimes he's had a lot of moments that are highlight reel worthy, like Chauncey Gardner-Johnson putting him on his butt, Samson Ebukam on his butt. And that's just, we're not talking about, well, he missed this block. We don't know what the line call was. It's literally, right. It's literally him and that guy one-on-one, and he gets put on his butt. So when you have those kinds of plays, I feel like he doesn't have the highest leverage at the moment. I don't think he's a bad player. I still don't. And I still think that if they can extend him, and that extension is between $5 to $7 million, and maybe he gets his weight and everything right, now you have a solid starting right tackle for $5 to $7 million.
Yeah. There was one more comment from someone asking about Leonard Floyd. I lost it and I can't get it back. I guess he re-signed with the Rams. What do you think?
Yeah, that's a good signing for the Rams. He played well for them last year. I don't know how good he is. I don't know how good he is outside of Aaron Donald, but we don't need to find that out.
Grant, what's the over/under on Lynch and Kyle Pooch in the draft? I don't know how to do that in an over/under form, but
they haven't pooched. I don't think they've pooched a single draft. I don't think they've had a 2017 Saints draft, because the 2017 draft, at the end of the day, they still were able to get George Kittle. And so when you get George Kittle in a draft, it kind of
real quick, I think you could argue that the only good first pick they've made was the no-brainer pick.
Bosa.
Yeah. I mean, that was no-brainer. I wanted him to trade down for Brian Burns or something like that, but everyone pretty much agreed. And you had to be going out on a limb to say it wasn't Bosa. I went out on a limb, but everyone agreed it was Bosa. At 9 and McGlinchey, that was up to them. They made the wrong choice. Every other Kinlaw, jury's out, but I have my suspicions.
Ayuk looks like a good pick.
Ayuk's a hell of a player, but I'm talking like top.
Yeah, but I mean, I still think overall, like, look, at the end of the day, the NFL isn't about just nailing your first-round picks because you have an entire draft. And I think the Niners end up batting about 50% in their draft. If they miss the first-round pick, they make up for it by getting a first-round caliber player in the middle of the draft. So for the most part, they bat about 50-50, which the odds are that's approximately where you're going to bat in the draft, maybe even worse because it's such a hard thing to do. They haven't had the draft, like Balky's 2011 draft, like, in 2013 looked like just one of the greatest drafts of all time. But by 2015, all those guys were off the team besides Kaepernick. So it's really tough to say and evaluate draft picks so quickly.